Hello YouTube. I really actually liked how my video on my phone came out, so we're gonna keep doing that because it's better than my crappy old computer's camera. So I'm here to tell you guys about the upcoming readathons I'm participating in and just like a stack of books that I'm interested and excited to read soon, hopefully. So we're gonna start and go through Trick or TBR, Gothtober. And then in November upcoming is Bloomin Readathon, put on by Allison Pages, I believe is her Instagram. And if I remember, I will link all of these below. Trick or TBR, I believe, is just on Instagram. Gothtober is put on by Ladette M and a few other people here on YouTube and also Instagram. And Bloomin Readathon's on both. So to start with Trick or TBR, back here, the buddy read is Haunting of Hill House. So I'm excited to read that. I've already started reading that, actually. I think it's like the original classic haunted house story, and that's about all I know about it. As we go through this video, you're going to realize I don't know a lot about any of these books, so I'm not going to try and tell you. This is going to be like a rapid fire TBR. The actual haunted house space I'm going to use for Pet Cemetery with my little half-price book sticker on it. And the Witching Hour, I'm going to read Call of Cthulhu. Also, I love this edition. It's a collection of, it's Call of Cthulhu and Other Weird Stories by H.P. Lovecraft, so there's a lot of different stuff in here. So I'll be applying it to a bunch of different readathons as we go forward throughout this. And Friend or Foe space, I am going to use My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyin Braithwaite, I believe. Braithwaite. Don't know a lot about this book. I mentioned it in my last video as well, but it seems exciting for Friend or Foe. The rest of the spaces, Sweater Weather, Sunday Scaries, Fright Night, Cozy Corner, and Magic Potion are Instagram challenges. So those are the 4 official book spaces. And yeah. So for Gothtober, moving on to that one, the Gothic book I'm going to read is The House on the Strand by Daphne du Maurier. Yep, it's a Gothic house story, I believe. Backstabbing or Betrayal. For that prompt, I'm also going to use My Sister the Serial Killer. For secondhand, I'm going to use Stephen King's Shawshank Redemption. And it's a few different novellas. One of them is Shawshank Redemption. For a BIPOC author, I'm using City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. For Sentient House, I'm using The Haunting of Hill House. For a murder mystery, I don't own it yet, but I'm going to borrow it from my mom. I'm going to read The Guest List. For fire, because there's fire on the cover of this book, or at least it looks like it is fire, I'm going to read The City of Brass. We're almost done with it. It's very exciting. Very good book so far. And for training montage, because the book comes out towards the end of the month, is The Atlas Paradox. It's the second book in the Atlas 6 duology. It's the second book coming out after the first one. I have not found a book for LGBTQ or disability yet, so I will be looking for that at my library. We're trying really hard to read all of these books that I already own without buying any new ones, so I'm going to try and go to the library for those 2 prompts. I don't have them yet, though. And for Bloomin Readathon, I don't think I'm overlapping any of these books again, because those are for the 2 readathons I'm doing in October. And Bloomin Readathon, we're going to start at the top, which is The Bee Space, which is a book that has a lot of buzz on it. I haven't read anything by Sarah J. Maas. This is the book I have. She just always seems to have a lot of people talking about her. So, number 1. Cloud is a book that'll make you emotional. So, Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And the next one is Sun, which is a book that'll make you happy. The only Jane Austen book I haven't read, I think, is Persuasion. And her books usually bring me joy, and I just am like happy about reading them. And for the most part, I believe that they end in a happy way. Moon is for, like, we all live on the same earth, but like pick a place you don't live in to read a book from, or that the author's from not for me, America, so the author could be from somewhere else. I'm going to read this beautiful edition of Castles in Spain by Stratton. And I think the other two are set in England instead of Spain, so I could also read this whole thing if I have time for it, but I'm going to specifically read Castles in Spain. And for Tree, which is like the nonfiction space, I recently bought The Sirens of Mars, so I'm going to read that. It's about things on Mars. And for Daffodil, which I believe is friendship, I'm going to read The Fortunes of Jaded Women. This was one of the Book of the Month books I got recently. And it seems like it's a bunch of sisters in a place and they're all friends and they have to like go through things and lean on each other. So I hope it'll meet the requirement for that category. So the next book is Cacti, and I did not stand up and get them. They're way over there, which is a short book or something that's not going to take you a lot of time to read. I have a few classical literature books, ancient Greek literature. So Jason and the Golden Fleece is really short, and so I'm going to read that for that. And Variegated is a book you don't hear anybody talking about. Similarly, it's one of my classical Greek books, and it's going to be Orestria. No idea what it's about, but I've literally never heard anybody talk about it. I just bought it because it matches my Oxford English books. And I do like classical Greek things. So for Propagation and for Spiders, so Propagation is the adaptation space. So you have movies, TV shows, things like that based off of it. I'm also going to read H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu. I'm hoping over the 2 months I actually read through all of the stories, so that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And also for the Spider space, which is dark horror, Call of Cthulhu, and other weird stories. Because I know the Lovecraft TV show exists, and there's been lots of other adaptations of certain stories in there. I do not have anything for the Lotus space yet, which is, I believe, the disability space. Like I mentioned previously, I'm going to go to the library and find something that meets that category. A lot of the books I own that I have not read just don't match those categories. And a lot of these books, I'd like to clarify, I got for free. So I do need to do better at intentionally buying books with more representation in them, but one thing at a time. Got to read through all these books I already own first. Succulent, which is hot, spicy, whatever. Every Breath You Take by Judith Bennett. There's a spicy scene on the very front cover, so I'm thinking this will meet the requirement. And it'll also probably make me mad based on the horror element that's in the book. Then there's a Free space. And then the Lily space is, I don't know what the Lily space is, but I'm going to read Daphne du Maurier's Don't Look Now. I clearly have a whole bunch of Daphne du Maurier books to read that I've not read, so exciting. Snail, which is like a slow burn, a slow read. I'm going to read the classic Alexandre Dumas's Vicomte de Braglione. I really liked all of the books I read by Dumas. He's one of my favorite authors, but I accidentally read the second book in this trilogy, which is Louise de la Valliere, a few years ago, and I haven't gone back to read the first one, and then read the second one again, and then the third one is The Man in the Iron Mask. All of these are set after the time that he wrote The Three Musketeers. So exciting. Water is quick, easy anthology short story. Oh no, sorry. Water is an author you're wanting to go back to. I recently finished reading The Expanse, and I loved that book series. It was incredible. This is the bound up collection of all of the short stories and novellas that were written as the full series went on. I didn't know which novellas went where, so I was just I'll read it at the end. So I'm very excited to hop back into some James S.A. Corey. So Fertilizer is a book that'll make you feel happy, or you'll just it'll help you grow. I really loved, and I really had a great time reading the first book in this trilogy, so I'm hoping this book is like just makes me happy, brings me joy, is like a cozy read that really like matches the season. So Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. They're based off of like Russian folklore, in the dead of winter, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what this one's about. Green Carnation, that's I believe the LGBTQ section. Again, we'll go to the library for that one. Tulip, I forget what tulip means, but I think it's like a book you're excited to read. So Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Haven't read this one yet, and I'm want to read it, and I'm excited about it. Ladybug looks pretty on the outside, thinks that you will just be destroyed by it on the inside, which is like kind of because you don't really, some ladybugs are poisonous, but they all look cute on the outside. Crying in H Mart. I've heard just like really good things about this book, but I also know I'm gonna sob. But I spent a lot of my life eating ramen, so I'm it's happiness on the outside, pain on the inside. I'm expecting that anyways. Root is a reread. I'm probably going to start this at the very end of the month and just kind of read it through the course of the winter, but I've really been wanting to reread this book. I literally found a PDF of it online on my phone the other day so I could start it. I don't expect to finish this in the month, especially if I don't expect to finish most of these books in this month, but we're setting a very ambitious TBR for these 2 months in the winter season because I need to spend less money, and I'll spend less money if I'm just sitting at home reading books that I already own. And so I love this book. It's one of my favorites of all time. And I'm thinking if I just really like slowly read this book and the next one and the third one and the fourth one, like really like very slowly read it, just like pick it up occasionally, read a chapter or two, put it down. Obviously when like the Sanderland happens about here, I'll probably finish the book in like one sitting, but maybe I can time it right for when book 5 comes out. I'll have just recently finished rereading them. I just want to really just like take my time with this because I've like sped read these books a few times, but I really want to just slowly get back into it, get back into the universe. Earth is a book published before 1990, and I put the Toni Morrison book I already had on the other two ones, The Bluest Eye. I think I put them on all of them. Actually, no, sorry, I just already mentioned it already. The Bluest Eye is also going to count for this space. Ivy is like the highest rated. It climbs the highest rated book of my TBR, which is also, again, Crying in H Mart. Very high rating for this book, despite its depression, so I'm excited. And Dandelion is a book that has been on your TBR for a long time, and I physically owned Ayn Rand's We the Living for a very long time. It's the only book of hers I haven't read, so I've been meaning to read it for like literally a decade, so I felt like it matched the requirements for this prompt. And the mole category is a strong protagonist. I figured I would pick one of the books I read that I thought had the strongest protagonist and go ahead and double up on that space. So those are the official readathons I'm wanting to do, or that I'm planning on doing here in the next few months. But this stack of books is just other books I'm excited about reading in the spooky season, in the winter, just books I'm looking forward to reading in the upcoming months. So I'm just going to list them for you real quick. J.A. Jance's Birds of Prey. It seems to be a cruise up in Alaska near all the ice, and things go wrong, murder, etc. Janet Ivanovich's One for the Money. My coworker really recommended this author, so I'm going to give it a try. Janet Ivanovich's Dangerous Minds. Ruth Ware's In a Dark, Dark Wood. I've not read any Ruth Ware, and I've heard this is the worst one, but it's the one I own, so we're going to start here. A few more like short story collections. This is the Selected Stories of H.G. Wells, and this is Tales from the Earthsea. I read this whole trilogy by Ursula Le Guin. Ursula, I thought it was a K. Le Guin somewhere in there. Ursula Le Guin and H.G. Wells. Want to read more of their work, so excited about that. Another like mystery novel, or mystery author my coworker recommended, Sue Grafton. The title of the book is X. never read any Joe Abercrombie. This one just seems wintry. And I think it's also a standalone fantasy novel, which I have too many series. I'm like halfway through or in the middle of. So excited for a standalone wintry fantasy. Also, if I have time in spooky season, I'd love to read this thick, floppy dude, Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. But as I mentioned in my last video, the font is literally really small, and this book is super large. So we'll see what happens. Another Daphne du Maurier book is My Cousin Rachel. I read the Great Children's Illustrated Classics versions of both of these books, but I did one of those mystery book boxes that are wrapped up all pretty, like book date things a while ago on Etsy, and I got this book, so White Fang and the Call of the Wild. Very wintry. That's the season we're coming up upon, so hopefully I'll get around to reading these this year. And lastly, matching the winter theme, Kevin Follett's White Out. I've not read any of this author's books, but this seems like a disaster end of the world kind of book in the snow and winter. I'm doing a lot of this winter themed reading because I don't like to go outside in the winter because I'm a wimp and I don't like the cold. So hopefully all these books will keep me cozy and comfy this winter when I don't want to go outside. And I also need to be spending less money. So hopefully this will really inspire me to stay home and like read in this little corner surrounded by books. But let me know if you're participating in any readathons, if you have any recommendations for books in the spaces I wasn't able to fill out on these readathons, and just let me know what you're excited to read in the upcoming few weeks and months. It's fall, winter, time to get motivated on that cozy energy and the cozy books reading. That's all I got for you guys today. Have a great weekend.